Reaction to this breaking news story. We can speak to another political analyst, Mbete. Thanks for your time, Prof. We appreciate it. What do you make of these moves?
Well, it is an interesting development. So far, some of the folks that had elicited a lot of controversy seem to have refused to pull out. Nomvula Mokonyane has apparently been appointed as chair of chairs. So I wasn't expecting any of them to pull out, really. So for Malusi Gigaba to have pulled out, it's quite interesting and also raises a number of questions. One of which is that why did he do so? Was he pressured to a point where he couldn't stay? And if he was pressured to pull out, then why didn't that pressure apply to someone like Mokonyane, for instance? Unless in a case no pressure was applied. So it's an uneven reaction. One can't quite tell what ultimately led to Gigaba pulling out.
Yeah, I want to talk about Malusi Gigaba pulling out, as you put it. Many would argue it's a blessing in disguise for the ANC because he's one of those former ministers who really has tarnished the party's image, especially with his alleged links to the Gupta family.
Yes, it is good for the ANC, but it would have been better if you get consistency. Because as of now, we don't know whether the party has taken a stance, right, not to include those tainted individuals. Because one of them, at least some of them, are still on the list and they might possibly be sworn in tomorrow. So it's good to the extent that one tainted person is out, but some of them are there. So if you were to credit the party, what do you really credit it for? Because it has retained most of them.
Now, Baleka Mbete, 14 years as Speaker, National Assembly Speaker, many of them, people would say that she protected Jacob Zuma, but also how can we forget her often angry tone in her voice when she tried to calm members of Parliament down during those very heated debates?
She was quite a strong defender of Jacob Zuma, as you say, but managed to redeem herself somewhat towards the end. For instance, she was one of the few people to support Cyril Ramaphosa towards Nasrec because she had been a contender somewhat, but decided to abandon her own campaign for the presidency of the ANC and swung towards Cyril's side. So that would have earned her some favor with Cyril Ramaphosa. My sense is that with the kind of jostling that's happening now in the ANC for the few positions that are available in the cabinet, people are perhaps being asked to reconsider other options. It's quite possible that she's been offered something else, but because I really don't think that her initial support for Zuma would have necessarily disadvantaged her for reappointment to Parliament or even Cabinet. Much more persuasive for me, I think, is that you have fewer positions available. The President has a large pool of candidates from which to appoint people. So he has to offer other senior people, different alternatives. And in the case of Baleka Mbete, I think she could have been persuaded to accept something else. And of course, it augurs far better, to have someone who's completely untainted by the Zuma scandals, right? And Thandi Modise, conducted herself quite well. She was one of the few competent and stern speakers in Parliament who did a job without fear or favor.
Do you think this is a sign of Ramaphosa's strength in the ANC, him possibly getting rid of people in a very nice way, some would put it, that he doesn't want to be an MP?
It's too early to tell. You still have a number of tainted people in Parliament. You have Nomvula Mokonyane as chair of chairs.
Sidelined, many would argue, though.
Sorry?
Nomvula Mokonyane, chair of chairs, is not a very important position.
It is an important position. She's her conduct disqualifies her for public service, period. You see, it's a question of principle. If you say you want to clean and ethical leaders, you have to be consistent to that. So it's we shouldn't be eager to celebrate small victories. There are bigger things to look at here. You can't celebrate Gigaba, for instance, for pulling out when you have 10 or 12 more left there and take that as victory. If anything, it shows tentativeness. It shows ambivalence. It shows inconsistency. For us to start celebrating that there's a stern action against tainted leaders, it is when those leaders are not even considered for public office. If you believe in principle, then you have to apply it consistently, not selectively. Because if you do so selectively, it means you're opportunistic. You are simply going for the weak one who can easily be removed.
I get you. Great point. And on that note, we'll leave it right there. Appreciate your time, Professor Mbete Ndletshana.